Y'all real fortunate here in Oakland to have Uncle Bobby. You know, we travel with Uncle Bobby all around the country, and he does amazing work. You know, before I really get into it, I never really said it, but out loud. But you know, this is the worst position to ever want to be in. To have to be a father of a murdered child. It's the hardest feeling in the world to have to go to the graveyard to visit your child, your DNA, your seed. So you know, when you go through this, your mind is struck. It's like a brick wall that just fell on me when it first hit me. And you know, through the Facebook, I got in touch with Kendrick Johnson's family, the young man that was wrapped up in the mat in Valdosta. The Lord blessed us with them, who in turn turned us on to Ron Davis. And as Ron Davis was going through his trial, he invited us up to support him with his trial. And as we was in Jacksonville preparing for the trial, my wife came to the room and said there was an Uncle Bobby downstairs that needed to talk to you. And you know, when you go through this, you don't want to talk to nobody. I done talked to 100 clowns and I ain't trying to talk to them no more. You know, I just got here and I drove all night and I talked to Uncle Bobby and whoever he is in the morning. I said, no, he's downstairs, he's waiting for you, he really wants to talk to you. So, you know, I had to get undressed, so I had to get back dressed and kind of clean the room up, because damn, Uncle Bobby won't come to the room. I could come downstairs and lobby and talk to Uncle Bobby. No, Uncle Bobby won't come up to the room. So now, you know, I'm going all through the room and trying to put stuff back in suitcases, and you know, finally Uncle Bobby came and he had Ryan with him, and I sat down and I told him my story, and you know, I kind of get a feed of people. And Uncle Bobby was really interested, and he was really heartfelt, and you know, that was the first time that somebody really embraced me. Because I was just been chasing and trying to find help. Yeah. And I think God sent Uncle Bobby to my life. And it's been something extraordinary since. But originally I'm from New Orleans. And my name is Andrew Joseph Jr. And after Katrina, we had to relocate to Tampa. Well, my wife, I have a daughter, Deja. At the time she was 10 in 2014 when this happened. And my son, Andrew Joseph III. Andrew Joseph is my daddy's name. I'm Andrew Joseph Jr., and you know, it was instilled in me to keep the family name going. So it was really important. And I named my first son Andrew Joseph III, my firstborn. While in Tampa, because you know, we had already relocated from New Orleans because of Katrina. So we had been through a whole lot to begin with. And we kind of settled in Tampa. And while in Tampa, my son did amazing things. You know, he was a natural athlete. Every time he touched the ball, it was something amazing that happened. Track and football, he just was running circles around the little guys in Florida. So he really put in a whole lot of work there in Florida. He was becoming of age. You know, he was a man child. He was really tall. He was, you know, I kid him all the time. He was built like an out-of-work stripper. You know? and you couldn't pay him to put a shirt on. Every picture you ever got of him, he was butt naked in the mirror playing with And he was a joyful kid. Everywhere he went, he brought joy. He made people smile. You know. And there's a day in Tampa that's known as Fair Day, where they let everybody out in the Hillsborough County School District, and they give them free tickets to go to the state fair. And we all know the history of state fairs throughout this country. It's basically where they fly the rebel flags, where they sell slaves historically, and where, you know, there's nothing that's welcoming for us. But at the time, like a lot of us are today, I was blind before this thing opened my third eye. You know, so we allowed my son to go to this state fair, school sponsored, and while he was at this state fair, he was obtained by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, the gang task force. They never really charged him with a crime because he never did anything that night or throughout his life. This was an honor roll kid, a kid that parents prayed for, you know? So as my son was standing on a ride, to get on a ride with his little classmates, he noticed that one of his friends was being arrested by the sheriff's department. And a little girl he was on a ride with said, hey, isn't that your teammate that the sheriff had? Yeah, that's my teammate. I need to go check on him, make sure he's all right. Pee-wee is what we call him. Say, Pee-wee, the sheriff has him. There's nothing that you can do about it. No, that's my friend. I need to go make sure he's okay. So Pee-wee got off of the ride and chased the sheriff down that was arresting his friend. And as the sheriff was arresting him, they was really physically handling him. So his hat fell off and his shoe fell off. Pee-wee picked up his hat and his shoe. He approached the cop that had his son, and the little boy named was Robert that they was arresting. Robert turned around and said, Pee-wee, you see how they handling us? Robert, here's your shoe and here's your hat. Yeah, I see how they handling us. What y'all did? Officer, what they did, why they're being arrested? Son, do you know these kids? Yeah, these are my friends. I was supposed to come to the fair to meet them. But you need to come with us. For what? I didn't do anything. Instructed the other officers to get him. He needs to come with us. So now he's detained. As they get in the back, they didn't even have a facility out there to process these kids. These kids were processed outside against the fence in public view down in Tampa, Florida. So, as a 14-year-old young man, I need you to take off your shirt because I'm the gang task force and I need to check you for gang markings. So, you're supposed to have something tattooed across your stomach, across your back, and in between your fingertips. Of course, my son had no tattoos and no gang markings. So, there were 14 kids that actually went to juvenile jail that night and got their due process. There were 99 kids that, basically you guys didn't do anything, but we can't allow you to stay here in the fair. So we're going to process you, take your name and your address, photograph you, put you in our system, put you in an official police car, and transport you off of the fairgrounds and release you to nobody. So my son was photographed. The last picture that I have of my perfect child is a mugshot. Him standing against the fence with his shirt off and his name and his address and his telephone number in front of him. All right? They placed him in a sheriff's vehicle and transported him off of the fairgrounds and released him about 100 yards away from the interstate, the major interstate, like 800 or whatever it is out here. You know what I'm saying? The real interstate. And as my son was trying to get back from the point that they released him back to the fair where his ride was going to pick him up at, he was hit by 19-year-old Johnson Hatfield that was coming from the fair going to the casino. In my little small world, Jonathan Hatfield was coming from the bar going to the bar.
Go ahead, man.
And when Jonathan Hatfield hit my son, Jonathan Hatfield wasn't given a ticket.
Go ahead.
They didn't ask him for a breath test. They allowed him to go home in the vehicle with my son's remains all over the front grill like nothing had ever happened.
Go ahead.
And this happened February the 7th, 2014. As I stand in front of you today, in February it'll be going on 4 years. And we're still fighting for a police report.
Oh, man.
Not a word from these people that's involved.
Oh,
So, I hear about all these cases that got all this big old publicity. And for a lot of you, this is the first time that you're hearing of this. So I feel your pain when you don't get that publicity. But I had doors that opened to me that I was able to contact with the ears that's necessary. So that's very, very, very important. And to lose a son, to lose a child, it just rocks you to the core. And you can either open your eyes and begin to fight, or you die on the spot. Now, everybody that comes up on the stage, has been to hell and back to tell these stories. But these stories are told to you for you to go back home and hug your loved ones just a little bit tighter. Just to sit down and turn the TVs off and take the earbuds out the ear and have a family discussion over dinner. To go on vacations and to take professional pictures. All these things are really dear to me when I come across a picture that I haven't seen of my son. It rocks me to my core. And every little thing, this is something that you never get over. You just kind of learn to live with. And every little thing, if I see a young man that's similar, the same complexion to my son, it brings back memories. And if you got the same walk or if you got the same smile, I find myself at the grocery store looking at the young man that's bagging his bags, and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, and he don't know what's going through my mind, but he looks like my son. And I want to run up and hug him. because my boy's gone. And I'll never see him again here on this earth. And I fight every day. I mean, every day. Every breath that I have left in my body will be fighting for this child. And when it's all over with, I'm fighting for the next child that has to stand on the stage and tell these kind of stories. Because, you know, we all are fighting racism. And they hate us because we black. Bottom line, we've done nothing to white folks to have them to hate us the way that we have, the way that they hate us. We have done nothing. I don't care if you're Crip or Blood, you're a gangster, you're a thug, however you come up, you're taught not to do nothing to them white folks as you coming up. I don't care what kind of thug or gangster you gonna be. Don't you put your hand on them white folks. Now you gonna kill niggas and the neighborhood and right on the building. Don't touch them white folks. We have done nothing to them to receive the hate that we will never receive. They're killing us by the busload. And between crack and the rest of the drugs and penitentiary and homosexuality, they're taking away a whole generation of black men out of the household, destroyed our black families. And the ones that's left, the few that's in this room, it's a call that's going out for us to stand up.
Yes, sir.
And take our communities back. And this is what this kind of program is for. We got people from all around the country. And you're supposed to get an earful here today. And go back to your perspective, part of the country, and make it happen. And here locally, go back to your neighborhoods and make it happen. And take back the communities, get the police out of our communities, and strong black men in the middle. Because they're supposed to be a middleman. Before you call the police, you call Uncle Bobby, or you call Reverend John, or you call this, that, to problem solve in the neighborhood. And they're only coming to our neighborhood to put you in jail or to kill you. They're not solving no problems. They're not dealing with no mental issue. They're coming to put you in jail or to kill you.
That's right.
So we have to be those middlemen. That's able to talk to our youth and guide them. Because they're strong and they're relentless, they just need to know what direction to follow. And they're not getting that because we had a whole generation that's been stolen. And I know they got a lot of people that's waiting to come up here. I just want everybody, you know.
Take your time, son.
Take time. It's right. Go home and love your loved ones. Because tomorrow is not promised. You see? Because, you know, the pigs, they signed up for this job. They know that if they go to work today, it's a strong possibility they may not make it home. They signed up for that. They knew that at that time. None of us signed up to be black. And every time those kids or your loved ones, period, walks out that door, there's no guarantee that they're coming back. So every day is precious. Every moment is precious because tomorrow is not promised. So we have to make the most of the day. Thank you for your time.
All right.
So a lot of you all know the story of my son, Trey Pierre Hummins. So, and the dynamics of it's kind of broken down in a few pieces, and my speech is it's going to be a little bit all over the place, so, you know, follow me.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, we were talking about how do we move forward. So this is one, I want to get this first piece out before I go into the piece about my son. Platforms. Like platforms, man, like a lot of people don't realize how powerful that is. You know, we run around, we call each other, what's up, God? Peace, God. Not even understanding even what that means or the identity of what that looks like to be a God.
Go ahead, brother.
But yeah, we got millionaires,
Go ahead.
whether it be athletes, different celebrities, musicians, with these platforms, man, that are so powerful. Like, we don't have to be in this position that we're in right now.
Go ahead.
We have all the resources we need right now to change every dynamic in our community right now ourselves. We're depending on other people to change things for us. We got everything we need. At my city, we got boxers, athletes, musicians that can make one tweet or an Instagram post of somebody that's doing some positive things in the community. But we get so cliquish as black people. And we want to stay in this little clique and in these little realms. And not even, and in realms that's not even making an effect, that's having an effect on the rest of the community.
Go ahead.
Like, I mean, think about that, man. Think about how powerful platforms are. You know, if a Jay-Z or in you all's community, you know, somebody that's already got a platform, just a little Instagram post, hey, this brother, man, is making a powerful move. This sister over here, man, has a program that's affecting kids, man, and impacting our neighborhoods. Now you got 30,000 people that know about this. But we don't do that. Platforms, man, like literally put us on the equivalence of a God. You think about what makes up a God. Influence, wealth, power. But we'll get a platform and won't even use it. Platform's not even for us. That's the crazy part about it. And that's what we don't get. Our platform's not for us. We just happen to be blessed with it. Even if you're not somebody that can write curriculums, create a program, be an activist. If you got that platform is not for you. Get with somebody that can. Get with somebody that has a movement, that's moving things forward. So, my son, my situation is a little bit different. My son's death was a suicide by cop. And so my fight is not necessarily against the police, but it's against the system as well. Well, I'm gonna lead up to it. So the circumstances that led up to my son's death was at 10 years old, I went to my son's school to go visit his class, to go throw a pizza party for his whole class. And he comes to tell me, he said, Daddy, it hurts when I sit down. I said, what do you mean it hurts? He said, my mom and her boyfriend beat me real bad. I'm enraged. We go to the principal office. Man, the principal checks him out. He's bruised up from the top of his back down his legs. I do what I feel like, you know, the politically correct thing to do. Job and Family Services, Child Protective Services. Call them out. They take pictures. They take an initial statement from me. He tells them exactly what he told me. My mom and her dad, my mom and my stepdad, his mom's boyfriend, beat him. So now, after she texts the report, I said, so my son's coming home with me, right? This lady says, no, we're going to put him in her mother's house. I said, wait a minute, how are you going to bypass me? You're going to go from my head to the grandmother? The grandmother has rights here. My name is on his birth certificate. And in the state of Ohio, there's 3 steps for establishing paternity. The swab, through marriage, and through signing that birth certificate. So, even though my name was on that birth certificate, I have no rights on my son. So I said, man, my son, he's grabbing me. He said, Daddy, I want to go with you. This lady is saying, no, we're going to put him in his grandmother's house. So the lady tells me, she said, well, if you want to get your son, you need to go file for custody. I'm trying to explain to this lady, to the caseworker, I said, ma'am, the place where you put him in, her grandmother, she's a crackhead. She's a drug addict. And we're not talking about a do drugs, go to work, functional type crackhead. We're talking about steal your TV, do different sexual things for drugs type crackhead. She said it doesn't make a difference. So now let me tell you a little bit about Ronald Hummins. I'm a film producer. I produced a film in my city that my police department uses. My Hamilton County Juvenile Court uses. All the schools in my city use my film. It's called Think, T-H-I-N-K. And the mission statement for that film was helping kids and young adults build critical decision-making skills. My prosecutor in my city uses my program. Things that I invested in, that I created, they use my products to impact kids. So I'm good enough to come and work with you with, with all these other inner city kids. But I'm not good enough for my own child. So we go to court. The very next day I went and got a lawyer. We go to court, and I'm thinking, okay, this should go by pretty fast. Because my son's mom, she's a drug addict as well. She's addicted to, at the time, cocaine, pills, and alcohol. And unemployed. I got a day named after me in my city, a holiday, in the city of Cincinnati. So when I come into this courtroom, don't act like you don't know me. Y'all use my films. You use my curriculum. You know who I am. The judge says, well, we have to establish paternity first. Paternity's already been established. You got it in front of you, that birth certificate. Well, I like to go about it a different route. We're going to do the paternity test. My lawyer said, Your Honor, we need to hear this case now. This man's son, man, I mean, you got the pictures. You've seen the report. The judge totally dismisses that. After he dismissed her, I stand up and rage, and I say, Your Honor, I'm trying to save my child, man. Like, help me. We're going to go about this the way I want to do it. So now, I don't know about the city that you guys are from, but in Cincinnati, if a man doesn't show up for a court-ordered paternity test, we're going to jail. There's going to be a bench warrant put out for his arrest.
Go ahead.
I'm there. I get swabbed. We wait for 2 hours. The mother never showed up. So my lawyer's like, well, you may get a judgment in your favor. I said, okay, cool. We go back to court. The judge asked her, why didn't she show up? She wasn't feeling well. Come on now. This is a room full of men. If we went there and said, Your Honor, I didn't show up for this court-ordered paternity test because I didn't feel well, he's going to make sure we get that DNA test behind bars. He says, okay, I'll give you another chance. The second time, I'm there again with my lawyer. She still doesn't show up. So now we're thinking, okay, this really should work in my favor now. We go out to court, and the judge asks her again. He tells us, he said, my hands are tired. Like, I don't really know what to do at this point. So let me back up a little bit. Not only did we file a motion for custody, we also filed a backup motion. I wanted to make sure that nobody could take my rights away from my child. That nobody, because with his mom being as toxic and as dysfunctional she was, I wanted to make sure that nobody could take my rights away from my child. So we filed a backup petition for visitation. The judge says, well, I don't really want to lock you up, ma'am. Slam my gavel down, dismiss. He dismissed my petition for custody and visitation. How do you dismiss a petition for visitation? I'm just saying I want to be in my child's life.
Without pause. Yes, sir.
So dismisses both of them. Now, the mother's empowered. The mother's a drug addict. The boyfriend, he just does straight crack. So he's all the way gone. My son is forced to grow up in this toxic environment. I had to sneak to my son's school. The only way after that point I was able to see my son was sneak to his school to go see him. He would meet me out at the clock, and that's the only way I could see my son's face. My son is 10 years old and suffering from depression and PTSD. So the amount of abuse grew at such a substantial rate, and in a short amount of time, now the mom is feeling empowered. And her boyfriend, which she ended up marrying, is feeling empowered because dad can't do anything now. Dad has no rights. I said, okay, you take away my rights. I'll do the next best thing. I went over there and I beat the boyfriend ass. Beat him up, I slid him everywhere across that front yard. The police came. Oh, now you want to protect somebody. I had to go to court. I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, I had a black female judge. I told her, I kept it real with her. I said, this man, you see the documents in front of you. I went over there and I beat this man's ass. Plain and simple. Just like that in court. She's looking at the documents and she's like, wait a minute. Why are you putting your hands on this man's child? She said, I would have whooped your ass too. So she actually dismissed it. But she gave him a restraint order, a protection order against another man. My son can't even get a protection order. But this grown man can get a protection order against me. So now I'm really out of my son's life now. I get a phone call from the school, from the counselor. Says, Mr. Hummins, we're trying to get in contact with his mom. We can't get it, she's not returning our phone calls. But your son, we think he needs some counseling. We think that he's suffering from PTSD. I'm in tears. I don't know what to do. At this point, I have no rights. They stripped me of all my power to be a father to my child. I tell her, I said, ma'am, I don't know what else I can do. Like, I can't make any decisions. She was like, well, I thought we would reach out to you and at least let you know so maybe you can get in contact with her. I tried to call her. I can't get in contact with her. She's a drug addict, she's an alcoholic, and they live in their own little world. I'm quite sure many of you know drug addicts and alcoholics. So now what do? I sneak again up to a school just to go see his face. I just need to hear his voice. I needed my son to know that, man, that I love you. Like, I done everything that I possibly know how to do. I spent money on his lawyer. I don't know what else to do. He's like, Daddy, I just want to go with you. I'm like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? You hear your kid tell you that. You know what I'm saying? And then he pulls up his sleeve to show me an iron burn. Oh my God, man, you talking about rage? I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go try to file again. I go get a lawyer again, we go file again. I done spent $1,000 on lawyers just to see my son, just to protect my child. I went to a court system, a system that's set up. A system that's set up to protect our kids, to help support me in my movement. I'm in a city, man, where everybody knows me. The police chief, our prosecutor, the judges, everybody. You know, I'm a successful entrepreneur. I done created programs in my city, and not just in my city, but in my state. I created a program called Vision Caretakers, Inc. It's an entrepreneurial training program where I wrote the curriculum in a way to where inmates, I go into the prison, I teach inmates how to start businesses right out of prison. All throughout the state of Ohio. I got hundreds of inmates throughout Ohio that run prisons that didn't have any hope, any light of what they were going to do until they signed up and got certified in my program in prison while they were doing time. I'm good enough for that, but I'm not good enough to save my child. So now we go to court again. This time I say, okay, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to do the grandparents' rights. So I got the lawyer to do it up under my mom. Same scenario. Dismissed it. Custody and visitation. Now, there's really nothing I can do. I mean, hope is like totally, completely gone. My lawyer says, let me take you to lunch. I want to talk to you about something. White Jewish lady. She said in slavery, they would separate the families and have the mother and the kids on one plantation and the father on another plantation. That father would have to go to Mr. Johnson, or whoever the slave owner was, and say, can I please go see my family? And if he said no, he would have to pay the consequences for sneaking out in the late at night just to go see his family. She's saying nothing changed. Yeah, this is a court system. Yeah, this is child protective services. Yeah, this is the juvenile courts. But it's so ingrained in that old Jim Crow era. Nothing has changed. She said that judge we went in front of, he was in his 70s. That would pretty much make him a generation away from a slave owner. I have to go to him and say, can I please see my child? She said, ain't nothing changed. Y'all the ones don't get it. Policies, they're still the same, and the policies now literally, they have the DNA of that Jim Crow era all over. She told me this. She said, when you all get it, when she said you all, she's talking about us, men, black men. We don't even have rights with our own children. I mean, think about that. A grandmother. So they not only do the mother have more rights than us, even though we laid there and co-created this child with this parent, the grandmother, the other woman, has rights over us. So throughout this process, man, my son battled PTSD and depression. And there was another disease that he battled that I didn't know it as a disease at the time. June 19th, that depression got the best of him. So he decided to go out by suicide by cop. He didn't want to live anymore. And in the process of him trying to get this cop to kill him, cop also was killed. And that's what made my story so difficult, because people would just focus on that end of it. And I'm like, no, my son is not a cop killer. My son was out, my son suffered from another disease called childhood trauma. And people know of the term trauma, but they don't know it as a disease.
Yes, sir.
And the biology of it, and the rewiring of our brain. A lot of us actually are affected by childhood trauma. We make choices every day that looks normal to other people, and to us, it's just a standard of what they call it in childhood trauma. It's normal, it's our normalcy. My son suffered from a chronic case of childhood trauma, which put him in his survival mode. We all are pretty much, a lot of us in here actually operate under a survival mode, which, like I said, to other people, it definitely looks like something that's not so normal. But to us, it's normalcy because it's our way of surviving. That's the piece to where, after my son was killed, I knew that I was called to. Like I said, my fight is not with the police department, but it is with the system that's connected to it. My fight is with childhood trauma. And with childhood trauma, and a lot of mental illnesses that our kids suffer from, the nutrition part is so connected. You can't separate it. So you go into right now, one of the things that my movement is a movement called 300. Just like the movie 300. 300 men went against the world's most powerful empire and crushed them. I'm putting together a team right now. I'm close to having the full 300, but a team of 300. 100 data analysts and researchers, 100 lawyers and law students, and 100 politicians and potential politicians. That system that we're going up against is that pharmaceutical industry. Most of our inner city kids, man, the main meal they get a day is at school. Go into your city schools here. Ask them to give you a copy of the menu. Do some research on those ingredients. Then do some research on ingredients that promote and enhance mental illnesses and childhood trauma. It's all connected. None of the shit that we're dealing with, man, is by accident. It's all perfectly by design. When they put this design together, they know exactly what they were doing. That's why I say, what we're doing, I was in Miami. I just opened up for Tracy Martin's event, the Circle of Fathers event down in Miami. And one of the things I told all those young millennials is, we have to take that level of awareness to a level of impact. Because, I mean, you know what I'm saying, talk is good, dialogue is good. But we got to take it to a level of impact. Well, we understand, man, how to start policy. That's going to be a big part of it. That's the reason why I got 100 lawyers and law students. I have them there for, they're setting up a whole range of lawsuits that we're going to go against our school systems in our city. Where we're going to be challenging why the suburbs, they have clean foods. They have salad bars. But then if you come to our inner city schools, we have everything that's impacting and affecting mental illnesses. We got a whole range of lawsuits we're going to be filing against job and family services, child protective services. So one of my legal team, we actually filed a lawsuit against child protective services for a wrongful death suit for my son. Like I said, my fight's not against the police department, but our suit is against, the other half of that same system. They should have given me custody of my son. I have a 14-year-old right now that's a state a boxing champion, 14 years old, would slide anybody put in the ring with him. Straight A student, goes to one of the best high schools in my city, has already won 3 college scholarships. He has $67,000 already worth of college money already put up. An excellent young man. I mean, he's like literally that's my life. So if you would have given me my son when he was 10 years old and allowed me to raise this young king, we wouldn't be dealing with this issue. You can talk about the cop all day long, but guess what? There's going to be more cops. There's going to be more of my sons. You all created this system, so they want to call us monsters, right? They want to call these kids monsters. They call my son a monster. Well, if he's a monster, You created it. See, they okay with creating monsters as long as they stay, you know, secluded in those neighborhoods and those projects. Oh, it's cool to keep creating these monsters and lump them all up in there. But once one of those little monsters escape out of there and affect one of theirs, then it's an issue. It's not an issue when those monsters are eating each other. Like in the movies, when the monsters are eating each other, they cool with that. But let one of the monsters escape to go impact their community. It's like the drug, you know, the opioid and the heroin addiction. My daddy, I grew up in group homes, and my father was a heroin addict. I slept in hallways in abandoned houses. And ain't nobody put no picture up on the internet of that. He was just a crackhead. As far as they were concerned, a heroin addict. He died from falling 3 feet from 3 stories after having a heart convulsion to the concrete and the head busted open. Oh, when they came, he just was a drug addict and a crackhead. But all of a sudden, pictures started circulating of little white kids sitting in the back seat with 2 white people with their parents sitting in the front seat overdose. Oh, now it's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a problem. It's just that monster that went out now and started affecting you all's community. Now it's a problem. So, I'm shorting this up. Like I said, we need to raise that level of awareness, man, to a level of impact. You know, when I was in Miami, that's one of the things I was telling those brothers, like, man, you know, awareness is cool. But awareness is just information. I could read the back, you know, the back of a little tea bag, a little message on the back, you know, get something positive out of that. It's not really going to do me no good. Got to go into a level of impact. So 300, I guarantee 300 is going to be that core group. That's my movement. That's that core group, man, that we're going to go, we starting on a state level, then we're going to take it to the federal level. There's no reason, man, that a father shouldn't be in the same position as a mom when it comes to rights of their child. None. There's no reason, man, why our kids should be eating poison that's changing and rewiring their brain in such a negative way that's giving them a negative impact on life. No. Like I said, a lot of what we're going through right now, man, we're going through because of the choices that we make and the choices that we don't make. We got the power to change everything that we're going through. Peace.
All right.